And never fails to make me laugh.
You kind of sprung that one on me, didn't you?
I sprung it on you last week.
You go, yeah, right, let's go and get some drinks, and then you just went, right, let's go live.
I got my drink here. I'm fine.
No, I have now because I went and sold it and went downstairs and got some.
I've got a nice cup of barley cup here. So, anyway, welcome to tonight's interesting modelling company Sunday service, everybody. What can I say? It has been a right Bobby Dazzler of a day. It's almost like a little bit of summer came to visit for today.
It was a little bit of an Indian summer today, wasn't it? It was quite bright and stuff outside.
I was at Seven Beach on Sunday, and I was at Seven Beach on Friday, and I had my winter coat on, and it was a right hoolie, I can tell you. And today I was literally just walking around like this there. Fab.
Very nice.
Yeah, good.
Very nice.
Yes.
I'm sure winter will be with us presently.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't mind a little bit of sunshine as long as it's not too warm.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a couple of news items to rattle through this evening. So how has your modelling week been?
Well, I finished a Mirage and I was scratching around for subjects. So obviously I started a Mirage. I've started another Models Vit Mirage. Look, I've waited my entire adult life for a 72nd scale Mirage that's worth the plastic it's tooled in. So I'm kind of filling my boots.
Your entire adult life, what, 25 minutes then?
Well, yeah, there and thereabouts. Yes. See what you did there? Very witty. The weirdest thing is that you can't find. I was looking for the AMK 72nd scale Kefir, and it's just nowhere to be found now.
They did release it, didn't they?
They did release it, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but it's absolutely nowhere to be found now. It's just you look on eBay and places, and they're selling for like 75, 80 quid and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. Well, I'm not that desperate for it, but none of the Asian online shops seem to have it in stock or anything like that. So I think AMK kind of do it like, they do limited runs of each kit and turn about. So you've just got to wait until they repop it, sort of thing. But I'd like it. It's a nice model. I'd like a couple of them just to sort of round out the Israeli Mirage sort of Kefir Nesher story. But hey ho, not to be at the moment. So
got an Italeri one here if you want it.
Yeah, no, you're all right.
Okay.
There's a reason I specified the AMK one.
Actually, the Italeri one was quite nice when it came out, 1987. It was. I remember.
I think a little bit later than that, because 87 was a year. It was just after Fine Scale Modeler did the conversion of the Hasegawa one, so it was about 2 or 3 years after that, 1989. What was
the three things they released? The three things they released were the AH1 Z. It was the 2-seat Skyhawk, the OH4M, and the Apache were the three kits they released in that little triage, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I can remember getting all three of them because they were all released at Stoneleigh as well.
Yes,
they were all released at Stoneleigh. So
yeah.
But yeah, it seems odd that a kit that was only tooled about 2-3 years ago, maybe you just can't find it now.
That's always the case, though. I've noticed this that a kit comes out, and it's like on the market for about 2 or 3 years. It's like a reissue or something. Then it's sold its lot. It gets retired. Something else comes along its way. Then somebody jumps on social media and says, I can't find it. They should reissue it. And it's like, just time.
Well, it's been exactly the same with the Tamiya Mosquito, hasn't it? I've been looking for the bullnose 72nd scale Mosquito, and you can't find that now. That's been out of production for a couple of years. And just when you want one, the 13/17.
I actually think I've got one. I'll check upstairs. I'm pretty sure I've got one.
Well, I would like it. I'd just say it's just one of those weird things. I mean, it's Tamiya, so it will be re-popped at some point. It's that's the way Tamiya kits work, don't they?
I'm actually surprised you haven't just driven up here and helped yourself. So,
well, that was an option. But it wasn't an option because I didn't realise you had one.
Yeah, how's that? That Hobby Boss Seahawk you liberated from me. How's that coming along?
Well, you haven't actually specified that you want it back yet. I mean, we used to swap.
No, I'm not. I don't want it back.
But that was part of the rules. We swapped it about 4 times between us.
No, it was only
ever
here.
It came back to you once.
It never did. It never did. You said, "Are you building that?" I said, "No." You said, "Oh, I'll have that then," and then it disappeared.
And then about 2 years later, you said, "No." About 2 years later, you said, "Can I have that back?" And I went, "Yeah." So I brought it back to you, and then it lived there for about 6 or 8 months. And I said, "Can I have that back?" And you went, "Yeah." So I took it back. So it's been up and down at least twice. It's the kit I look at and think John's going to ask for that back again one day.
I give up.
I must start.
I give up. I tell you, talking mosquitoes, by the way, somebody did post some pics over the weekend of they built the original Airfix Mosquito.
Well, the one that wasn't there at all.
Sorry.
The one that wasn't there.
The one that wasn't there at all. It was like a French kit that they picked up or something. But I remember building that as a kid. And as a kid, it's the Mosquito from 633 Squadron, even though it isn't the Mosquito from 633. Anyway, and I just remember thinking this is the best model ever. This isn't a comment on the builder's model. This is a comment on how whoever tooled up that kit originally kind of like designed it over a telephone, really.
Oh, well, definitely. I mean, I can remember I got that kit in about 1978 because it was a dogfight double with a Messerschmitt 262.
That's the one.
I went to a fishing match with my dad, and my dad won the fishing match, and he gave £1 of the prize money to me for just being there and making coffee and stuff all day for him. So he said, "There's £1 for you." It's like a fortune in 1978.
You know what? That is the exact same boxing I had, and it was when it was a weird thing in Wokingham. We had 2 primary schools, and the primary schools went from you're up to a certain age in the primary school, then you went to the next primary school. You see,
right?
So it was kind of like I don't know what it was, but it was the second primary school. They were literally both at the end of the road anyway. But I remember when I started that primary school, and one of the first things I think my mum bought me. Hi, Mum. It was the Airfix Dogfight Double. God, what excitement! 2 kits in a box. The 262.
I can still remember the box art.
I can remember the box art, but I can still remember that tactile experience of the 262 having no propellers. It was like, what?
And it was in blue, wasn't it? It was in pale blue plastic. I remember the 262.
Pale blue plastic. Well, I think they were both.
The Mosquito was in grey.
Yeah,
pale grey, and the 262 was in blue. But 88 pence it was. 88 pence.
Something like that. Yep. We'll just catch up on a couple of. Jim Alticott says, "Welcome to the Interesting Bickering Company." Always, Jim. Always. And
so this is just John and I writ large. This is how we interact. Anyway, so the only difference is doing it over a camera.
It was my 3rd kit. I later bought the Series 2 one. Yeah, the Series 3 kit is awesome. Awesome. It's not awful, but great. The Series 3 kit is awesome, but the Series 2 kit was just.
Well, that Series 3 kit, because it was the Mark 18, wasn't it? Initially, it was had the Mullins gun.
And if anybody's out there has seen Mike Grant's build of it, it just goes to show that the basic shape of the thing is still bang on.
Yeah, it was. It was an absolutely remarkable model for its time, and it had both styles of propeller in the kit as well, didn't it?
It did. So, yeah, it was a spares box bonanza, that one.
Yeah, rockets, bombs, tanks. And it'll do an FB6 and a Mark 18 from it. Yeah, what a great kit that was. What a great kit.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to do. I know we're going to do the P40 special at some stage, but we'll have to do our kind of like our great kits that we enjoyed. Shall we get on with the news then?
Well,
the news, and then we can kind of like dip in and out of kind of like wibbly wobbly remedy.
Yeah, I just need to check the schedule a second just to find out what the first. Yes.
Well, the first one on the list is, we probably mentioned this before, but we've got some more information now, and that is.
Oh, is it the first kit on the list here? That wasn't the first kit on my list on my schedule, but no. But there you go. We'll deal with the Special Hobby 48 scale Cobra. Yeah, I'm sure we've discussed it already, but probably before photographs showed up, which is looking rather scrumptious, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is not actually related to the 32nd scale ICM one, even though Special Hobby are releasing a special boxing of that ICM one. I think this has got more in common with their 72nd scale one, although it does look rather delicious. Look at all that stuff going on the tail boom.
Yeah, that's not what they say. Bear with. They say, quote, they said, in addition to the AH1G Cobra. All right, sorry. I do apologize. I misread this. It says, in addition to the AH1G Cobra in 32nd scale in our high-tech series, which we prepare in cooperation with ICM, we also plan to release this kit in 1/48. I completely misread that. This kit, completely designed by Special Hobby, will release in the next year. In skim reading that, I misread that, and I thought it was based on the Special Hobby kit. So,
yeah, I mean, I think this is even more exciting for me than the 32nd scale one, because this is one I can see myself doing multiples of, and that's just. I mean, if I'm presuming these are renders. I don't know. Is that renders or is that test shots?
No, it's test shots. There's test shots because there's a fucking great big seam line down the middle of that one.
Down the middle of that rocket.
or they're very good renders.
So yeah, I mean, looking at the kind of rivet detail and stuff on that, yes, that's what a fantastic helicopter.
Now they're giving you both styles of tails, aren't they?
Yeah, both the pusher and the puller, the pusher and the tractor tail rotors. I think there's three tail rotors.
There are, because there's this sprue here, and then there's this sprue.
So they've obviously looked into some more subtle differences, even over and above just each side, tail rotor on either side. I see there's also toe sights on one of the sprues there for obviously a later, and that's a TAT-102 turret with a grenade launcher and a minigun. Yeah, I mean, it just looks superbly broken down, doesn't it? Look at that. And the 20mm Vulcan setup with the armor around the fuselage and the ammunition pods over the skids. Yeah, I think I'm even more sort of up for this than I am the 32nd scale one. It looks beautifully detailed, doesn't it?
Do you know what? When I saw those pictures there, I thought, I know some people are going to go, oh, the rivets are overscale. Do you know what? I don't care. I love rivety helicopter kits. I
don't even think they are overscale. I think they're fine.
No,
I think they're.
It's that old Chris Ellis thing about sometimes if we perceive an object to be in a certain style, sometimes our perceptions of it do not necessarily scale down, and that's always the thing. This is why I always think the older Italeri helicopter kits feel more authentic, because they are all kind of lumpy and bumpy. As soon as they started going over to engraved panel lines and no rivets, they lost something for me. But these,
to be fair, when Italeri moved over to engraved panel lines, they didn't do it particularly well, in my opinion. So
no,
Italeri kind of went from being in the 1980s being sort of like the leading edge of model manufacturers to being very much an also ran, in my opinion. Because it's just I love that. I just that armor on the side of the cockpit there.
Yeah, we must stress that is what the armor looks like. That's not some kind of homage to Matchbox.
No, it was literally just big plates of armor. So because the The problem was that 20mm Vulcan cannon on the inboard pylon there was just distorting the fuselage when it was fired. So they had to have they had to add this armor to it to literally protect it from the blast of the cannon when the cannon was fired.
We've got no idea on schemes at the moment because this is just Special Hobby just showing off their wares.
I mean, Special Hobby are just, these days they're almost like Hasegawa, aren't they? Just release different boxings and stuff all the time. So, I mean, yeah, you can certainly see, well, even the breakdown of the kit, you're going to get exactly what you got with the 72nd scale one, which is a G in various different formats, then an R and an S, and probably a Spanish Navy one at some point. And I just hope it's the start of a series.
What is out there at the moment in 48 scale? Because this is the AH-1G. So what's
40
out there
in 48 scale? Nothing. Right. Fujimi did a 48 scale one, but many. I mean, we're talking early mid 70s. So you can sort of think of the early mid 70s Fujimi standard. Very little detail. I think it was probably 1/50th scale as well. But apart from that, outside of that, I mean, in single engine Cobras, Monogram did an AH-1S, which has been re-released by Revell and other people over the years. And Fujimi also did a 1/48 scale. But they only released the AH-1S and the AH-1J with the Marine twin pack Cobra. They never released a G. Really, it's in the well over 50 years since this aircraft was in service, it's been incredibly poorly represented in most scales, really, which is a shame because it's a fantastic looking helicopter, isn't it?
$64,000 question. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer the classic Cobra or do you prefer the Super Cobras?
I wouldn't be able to choose. I like them both. They're very, very different animals. I like the purity of line of the single engined, the traditional Cobras, but I also like how brutish and how big and brutish the late Marine Cobras look to me. They just look fantastic. Difficult. You just have they're almost two entirely different helicopters. Apart from the fuselage center section, there's very little in common between those two types. There's certainly nothing you could take off of an AH-1Z or Z if you're an American and put on an AH-1G. There's basically nothing. It's an entirely different helicopter from stem to stern.
I bought and built the Italeri AH-1W when it came out in 1992, and I actually remember quite liking that. And again, it was back in an era when their helicopter kits were all kind of like nice and ribbety and tactile, and I don't remember experiencing any massive problems with it.
It was a couple of years earlier than that as well. That was released at Stoney in '89. The
48 scale one.
Oh, the 48 scale one. Yeah, I've never
48 scale one.
I've never got the 48 scale one.
I'll try and dig out some pictures of that because it's.
But yeah, I mean, it's Italeri were great. Were doing great helicopters at that time. Stephen Moores says, wasn't there an MRC one? That was an AH-1W Super Cobra, and I think there's some quite serious accuracy issues around the.
Was that the 35th scale one?
Yeah. There's some quite serious accuracy issues around the canopy and forward fuselage. That is too short and stubby, I think. I've got one in the attic because I can remember there was a huge amount of excitement when it was released, and that will have been 92, 93 because it was one of the last models I got before I moved into this house in 1993. So it was still at my parents' house. But it's a very nice model in the box. And then latterly, I suppose, the most recent new Cobras were the Special Hobby 72nd ones, which are very nice models, and the Kitty Hawk 48 scale AH-1Z. And then in the last year or two, there was the Academy 1/35 scale AH1Z, which is
and obviously the dream model ones as well.
Yes, God, yes. Sorry, I forgot. I've got the dream model one downstairs. I just completely, yeah. And that's a really nice model as well.
Jim asks, how's that Beaufort group build progressing?
I don't know. I'll ask Spence.
Yeah. Sometimes
let's put it this way: it's within 2 feet of me.
Yeah. I have absolutely no.
It's just the best laid plans, isn't it?
The best laid plans. It's these things happen, and then real life intervenes and things. So I'm sure Jen and Drew will get around to finishing theirs. Spencer's unfortunately did not make it. I feel like it was one of those films. It's like the Battle of Britain. What happened to the commander? Failure didn't make it. Anyway, do you know what? I was just thinking that the other day. I caught a bit of that on Channel 5 or something in horrible scan and pan thing, and I thought I haven't got that film on Blu-ray, and it's one of my favourite films. And
talking devil, look, Jen.
Oh, there she is. Yeah. So hello, Jen. Pavel. Pavel. He says, in my humble opinion, Italy H1 is awful kit. The latter UH1D is significantly better, and Fuji's H1S is better as well, even though it's older, though not as old as that AH1G though. So, it's I'll dig out the pictures. All I remember building it back in '92 and just enjoying
it. Quite often, an enjoyable project sticks more in the memory for it being enjoyable rather than thinking there was anything wrong with the model, doesn't it?
Yeah. But bear in mind, this is 1992, so this is before the invention of the red pen. So,
yes,
yes, it was a simpler time. It was a simpler hobby back then.
There wasn't even the turpits in the background.
There was no red pen. So you go into a stationer's and you say, "I like a red pen," and they say, "Oh, no idea what you're talking about, sir." So, anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next news item, and the next news item is, well, this is Micromere. This is a company I haven't bought or built any of their stuff, but they're always on the fringes of interesting. And what they is doing is a 1/72 scale de Havilland 108 Swallow. Now, this does interest me for two reasons. One, because I do have a thing about the vampire, of which this has kind of vampire-y elements. And also, I do like the Messerschmitt 163 Comet, of which this is pretty much a kind of a tribute band for the Messerschmitt Comet rather. And apparently, it is, according to the Wikipedias, it initially designed to evaluate wing sweep handling characteristics at low and high subsonic speeds for the proposed early tailless design of the Comet airliner. 3 examples of the de Havilland 108 were built to Air Ministry specifications E1845. With the adoption of a conventional tail for the Comet, the aircraft was used instead to investigate swept wing handling up to supersonic speeds. All 3 prototypes were lost in fatal crashes. Now, it's like I say, it is one of those subjects that might actually push me to actually buy something from Micromere, because this ticks so many boxes of aircraft that interest me, and it also looks fabulously unfussy.
Incredibly pretty aeroplane, I always thought. No, it's de Havilland. Of course it's pretty. It's like, it's de Havilland. Of course it's pretty. It kind of looking at the sprues, I was initially thought, oh, the fuselage doesn't look that great. And then I looked at it again and went, yeah, actually it looks fine. And then I looked at the wings and went, they look really quite nice. So, yeah, it's certainly one that piques my interest enough to seriously think about buying it. It wasn't. They used it in a film as well, didn't they? There was a film that had,
I think it was The Sound Barrier, starring Nigel Patrick,
something like that. Yeah. Steve Moore says, was that the aircraft that killed Jeffrey de Havilland? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. And in fact, I was chatting to Matt Whiting at Hornby this week, and he said that it's quite close to it's where they were testing these, quite close to where he passes every now and then. So it's it piqued his interest because of it being a an aircraft he's familiar with. And in fact, I'm just calling up a page here. Here we go. This is the BAE Systems page, and it's got some nice information on it. But yeah, what a fabulous looking aeroplane.
Yeah, I mean the fuselage pod is just it's just a vampire fuselage with an extended center section, isn't it? So,
yeah,
it's just a longer vampire pod, really. But yeah, it was a shame that they were all lost.
Yep.
But a great subject. I think Micromere are doing some really, really nice subjects.
Yep.
They've done 144th scale Valiant as well, haven't they?
They have, and they've done a 72nd scale Armstrong Whitworth 52.
Yes.
Which I do believe Rob Monfils has a copy of that.
Yes.
Rob,
I love the boxing as well. The boxing is so Novo. Micromere's boxes just
it's like if you're gonna do like a tribute to a kit company, Novo, really? Not Novo as in English Novo. It's kind of Novo as in some of the Eastern European boxing Novos. It's like, that's really bizarre, that. Rob Monfils says, I do.
It's nice.
Thank you, Rob. I'm very flattered. And he says it's nice. Well, no complaints in the past. So, it's on the list. It's on the biblically long list of things that are coming out that I want to build. I just need to,
and probably never will.
Yeah.
Things that you want to build.
Honestly, it's. I know we, occasionally we kind of like almost get to like a rant level. Occasionally, you and me, we don't like to rant, and but I think anybody who comes into this hobby and just goes, oh, there's nothing for me. It's boring.
You're not really looking.
Keep up. I cannot keep up with what's happening in this hobby all the time, and it's. I wouldn't even say it's frustrating. About the only thing I don't like about this hobby at the moment is that there is so much squirrely, distracting new stuff coming out.
I would suggest this has been a really, really quiet week for the hobby in terms of announcements, and we've still got 4 or 5 items to cover.
Yeah,
it wasn't. But you and I can both remember times in the mid and late 80s where, we would have run out of. We could have started in January. And we'd have run out of stuff to discuss by the beginning of February. As
I've said on this show time and time again. I mean, this year, yet again, there have been more new kits announced this year, and we're only into October, than the entirety of the 1980s.
Yeah,
and that's a really kind of like sobering thing, and that's on top of the fact that over the last year there were more kits than the entire 1980s. And it just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, it is such a fabulously diverse hobby at the moment in terms of the releases. And I know people are going to go, oh, but Wingnut Lancaster's 600, 700 quid. Yeah, I know, but. That's not the kind of the barometer for how everything is going to be and how everything's going to cost.
I would suggest it's a bit of a barometer for the overall health of the industry that they can release something at that price point and be able to sell it. It's not. It's maybe not a barometer for who's buying what, but it's a good general indicator of the health of the industry, I would suggest.
Jim says, welcome to the Jim Altegott show. He's joining us. Now, Jim says, so many good kit releases these days. Impossible kit. It is, Jim. It's like I say, it's either that or I need to lower my building standards to just literally slapping them together. It's what a great problem to have. It is.
What a great problem to have.
Yeah, what a great problem for a hobby that we kept being told every 10 years is dying. Anyway, look, to prove a point, here is another kind of like new release this week. Although this is kind of like newish, but nevertheless, it caught our eye, and that was
Yeah, it's just my who are Snowman model? Do they actually do their own stuff, or is this like those?
yes.
Right, okay, because I don't. It's not a name I know. I just wondered if they started doing their own stuff, and now they've just sort of tied up with Takom because Takom can handle the they can handle the logistical side of it.
Well, hang about. We're gonna share another screen here. We're gonna share a thing because this was a link sent to us by Jeff Brown, and this is Snowman Models. This is on hobbyeasy.com, and yep. So, I can't think we can see that. So yeah, Snowman are their own company, and they've they've done this kit of the USS Gearing class Frank Knox. And I think I try to remember what Jeff said. I've lost Jeff's comments now. And it was just bringing up the other thing. And they also do the dockside kits as well, if I remember Jeff's message correctly. Yeah, there we go. So they also do the dry dock as well. But what was especially quite interesting for me was the fact that Fujimi have apparently been doing these dry dock kits for quite a while as well. And as we were saying before the show, is that Fujimi are a kit company that have just dropped off the radar as far as the West is concerned now. They pretty much purely exist within the domestic model making market.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And the thing is with this 700 scale, I mean that the frigate is going to be tiny.
Yeah.
Or the destroyer as it is. So the entire diorama is going to be, probably 8 inches square or whatever. It's going to be a really pretty small diorama in 700 scale. I really like it. It looks really cool. And another one. What a great subject.
I mean, this is on top of the other week Takom doing those flak towers.
Exactly. They're just kind of pushing. They're pushing the limits. The Ekranoplan they're doing. That's pushing the envelope, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just think Takom are sort of ploughing a very, very unique furrow. That is incredibly interesting to follow, albeit one that I will probably never build any of, but I look forward to seeing other people's builds of them.
And again, it just increases the diversity within the hobby of subjects and things to build and buy.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just think it's great. I would say take my money, but like I say, it's not really in my wheelhouse of interest, so to speak. That said, Takom have done a lot of stuff that is, and the Ekranoplan is very much in sort of like my wheelhouse of stuff. I'd be very interested in sort of having a crack at massive, though it's like half a meter long or whatever in 144 scale. It's enormous. But yeah, I just Takom just continue to delight with their sort of off the wall choices.
Talking of Fujimi, I am going to have to. Perhaps I'm going to do perhaps we'll do a midweek show at some stage. Never mind whatever happened to the Lightly lads, whatever happened to Fujimi, because they are still producing things and they are still a player in the domestic Japanese model kit market. For example, they had in the last 10 years or so, they did several variants of any dual boxing of the Opel Blitz in 72nd scale. So they did various kind of Opel Blitz variants, which interests me because I like, you know me, I like my small scale armor, and I do like the Opel Blitz. Having built the Eschi and the Airfix kits gazillion years ago, I did look to try and get hold of a pair of those Opel Blitz trucks in this country, and I think they were about £35 for 272 scale trucks, and it's like, well, I'm keen, but how keen am I? So But I think we might do that. We might actually delve in to see, what have Fujimi been up to, because they're out there, but they just don't tune. They don't broadcast to our particular part of the world.
Might
In
be
fact,
worth.
we were saying
If you
before
are
the show.
interested in those trucks, might
Huh?
be worth. If you are interested in those trucks, check out Plaza Japan. See if they have them. They just give them do a search on Plaza Japan, because they're a brilliant service, and they probably do Fujimi. So have a look.
I will. Well, when we're on to the next one, I will actually go and have a look, and I'll go actually go and have a look and see what's going on there, because we were talking about this before the show, and we were saying about these days, whereas in the past it was Fujimi and Hasegawa were definitely always the premier. Obviously Tamiya are the premier one, but they were like a mainstay in the UK hobby scene.
You have to remember, John, at that point, for us as aircraft modelers, Tamiya weren't really. They didn't really feature.
They didn't do anything. No,
they didn't do anything.
And now that's sort of been. And whereas fine molds were very much a niche manufacturer, that seems to have been reversed now. You are finding in the UK, you are finding fine mold stuff more readily, because obviously being imported in now, distributed also by Fru Model Center. But Hasegawa and Fujimi are just ghosts. They occasionally manifest themselves, and then that's it.
I mean, most of Hasegawa's new tool stuff now is very, very much oriented towards the home market.
Yeah.
So people say they don't do new tools anymore. They do, but they're just not stuff that is aimed outside of the domestic market. So,
which is a shame, because you and I have seen they do those fabulous construction vehicles.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the construction stuff they do, and I think they've just released a 72nd scale airport fire engine as well, which is absolutely spectacular. But again, it's going to be about 40 quid by the time you factored in, getting it. But it looks, those airport fire engines are just the coolest things in the world, aren't they?
And they did a desk.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, they're just not really. They're not really part of our scene anymore. Whereas in the last couple of years, fine molds have really started to come through, haven't they? With I guess they've grown it over the last. I mean, thing is, fine molds have been around for nearly 30 years, haven't they? I mean, the Messerschmitt 410s and stuff are, and the 109s. I can remember them being reviewed in Replique magazine in like 1996, 97 sort of time. So they've been around for many, many years, but they've always been a very, very small sort of Japanese company where you manage to get the odd import here and there. And then in the last couple of years, it seems they've really started sort of upping their sort of new product range.
Yeah, upping the ante.
Yeah, absolutely, very much so. Very much so.
Oh, that was a mistake. I've gone onto the Plaza website, and I have suddenly found that they do a lot of. There's a lot of plastic kits to tie in with Ultraman. So that's going to become incredibly expensive. Let's shut down that window. But yeah, I will have a hunt for that those Fujimi Opal Blitzes, because I think I've spoken to Dave Fleming about them as well. But they just, it's maddening, isn't it? Jim says, hello Jim, nice to hear from him. He says, I have the Fujimi 148 scale valve dive bomb in a tester's box. I built one back in the early 80s. A good model. Absolutely. And Mike Reeves says it took Bandai with Gunpla, a long time to hit the US, but now they're everywhere. Yeah. Well, that's always the trivia question, isn't it? Is which is the biggest kit company in the world? Is it Tamiya or Hasegawa? Neither. It's Bandai.
But you can see that they're starting to appear everywhere in the UK now as well. I mean, at the last few nationals, there's been a couple of trader stands that specialise almost exclusively in Bandai, Gunpla, Gundam, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all sort of coming through here. It still strikes me as a bit sort of incredibly Japan centric as an interest, if you like.
No. I think Gundam, all that stuff, because of the shows and.
Yeah, but we don't have the same comic book culture.
Let's just say probably not in the UK, but certainly in the States, it's it's huge because if you were to say to people in the in this country, Ultraman, they just go. Whereas Ultraman is big in the States, it's the same with Johnny Socko and his flying robot, which is a television show. Trust me, and there's all kinds of things like that which were ingrained within American kind of like children's television, whereas in this country, no, not at all. But hey ho, let us move on to here's Mini Art. You may have heard of them. They're doing another fabulous release here. This one I'm a bit of an expert on because what they're doing is they're doing street furniture as you would find in cafes and things. And yes, some of these things here I do recognize, for example, mugs and teapots. I think this is another example of Mini Art mixing mold tools from one thing and then combining them with bits and pieces from others to come up with a brand new set, because I'm sure that get my teeth in. I'm sure the Parasol has been featured in another set, as have some of those plastic chairs. In fact, I can hear those plastic
chairs are done.
Yeah, I can hear those plastic chairs creaking already. But what we've got here is we've got some additional items, including what appears to be a backgammon set, some kind of hooker of some sort, hookah, however you pronounce it, a ghetto blaster, and a television, along with some cutlery and bits and pieces. In fact, let's Mini Art. Let's let Mini Art describe themselves: plastic chairs and tables, clay decanter cup, street umbrella, wooden table, backgammon, kettles, tray, TV, radio, and hookah. And what they give you, daisy, is some cutout items for the umbrellas and for the television screens. So you've got Tom and Jerry cartoon, a test card, some football. You what?
No, just saying some football and
football. Yeah. So pretty much nothing Drew would watch. And then you've got the television set here in the Ghetto Blast. They look fabulous.
I like the fact that I like this Sharp television set, an old CRT one. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you get the occasional table here. These are the bits and pieces for the umbrellas, and then you've got the base for the umbrella and the stand itself, and there's the other bits for the umbrella and the stand itself. Then you've got those. Oh, honestly, I can see that kind of flaky plastic and hear them creaking as you sit on them. And then you've got the accoutrements, including a kettle, some cups, a stand, and other bits and pieces, mugs, tiny little mugs there. And then a clear part for the television screen. Well, to whichever of our favourite retailers out there is going to stock Mini Art, the first one to say we've got this one in stock, I will be buying it from you because again, really cool. It's one of those sets that it's when I say it's got kind of cross, it's kind of got cross kind of genre and cross era appeal. Obviously, you're not going to have the television screen in World War II, but some of this stuff, like the board game and the cups and saucers and bits and pieces like that, that's certainly you could incorporate into a World
Almost
War
the only things there that are era specific will be the television and the Ghetto Blaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything
else and the plastic seats.
Yeah, but I'd still say the plastic seats could go from the early 70s to sort of now. Yeah. Whereas like the Ghetto Blaster is sort of, you're looking at the early mid 80s to probably the turn of the century.
Yeah.
So, but everything else is very much just, pretty much universal, isn't it?
Yeah. I love it. I again, anybody says, "Oh, I don't want to build a tank. I don't want to build a car. I don't want to build an airplane." Well, build some street furniture. Go on, just build yourself a nice little. Yeah, I fully predict at some stage Mini Art will do 35th scale cakes, and they'll be like wedding cake, they'll be like Victoria sponge,
croissant,
there'll be slices of carrot cake. I know people sit there thinking, goodness me, JM, get your carbon monoxide tested in the house. I'm not kidding. I actually think that Mini Art will come up with something like that. They will come up with 35th scale.
Well, yeah,
cakes.
it's just cakes and breads.
Yep, cakes and breads.
Cakes and bread.
Yeah.
But no, they continue to delight. Even it seems to me that about half the stuff we cover on these days are stuff I will never ever buy or use, but I'm still continually delighted by.
Yes, I think you can. I know you get we get this thing in this hobby where people go, well, I don't care. It's of no interest to me. There's lots of stuff that gets released that is no interest to me, but that doesn't mean I don't care, because I look at it and I think this is a fabulous indicator of a hobby in rude health. But also, yes, just because it doesn't interest me doesn't mean.
I mean, if I'm being blunt,
interest and delight a lot of other people. If
I'm being blunt, the Border Models 32nd scale Lancaster is of no interest to me as a subject for me to build at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely beside myself waiting to see what somebody does with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, waiting to see what the people who are sort of interested in the subject and are enthusiastic about it and have got the time and the space mainly and the will to see it through to the end, that is going to result in some absolutely spectacular models. So the subject doesn't interest me as one that I want to build myself, but I still want to see what people are going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with all of this kind of stuff. I just still really want to see what people are going to do with it.
Yep, absolutely. Mike Williams says these Mini Art sets are almost crossing over to doll's house type of market. Such day-to-day mundane. Can I have my other teeth, please? Such day-to-day mundane items, plus fabulously done. Love them. I haven't even started doing the ghost stories tonight, which is when it usually starts falling apart. And Peter Adshead says Doll's House furniture is available. It is, but I think I'd be cheating if I went out and bought Doll's House furniture and started misappropriating that for models. I'd feel actually it's probably hideously more expensive than going out and buying Mini Art stuff. So there is the cost factor.
Good to see you on here as well, Pete.
Sorry?
Good to see you, Pete, by the way. Pete and I go back a good deal further than you and I go back. I've probably known Pete since about 1985, 86. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So, you and I go back 25 years.
Well, I can remember 1998, because it's when I first started speaking to you at the Bath Model Show. If you remember, you were sat up on the table and I came up to see you.
No, because I can.
You always disagree with me, and I'm telling you that is when, apart from a little bit of speaking on RMS, the first time we ever actually spoke to each other directly was at that show.
Right. I am now going to introduce a new memory into your little memory bank there, because the first time we actually met was at one of the Yeovilton air shows. Okay, and you had a t-shirt on which was it was a white t-shirt, Alt Music Rush. Do you remember your white Alt Music Rush t-shirt?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Vaguely, you see, and whatever. And I went, ooh, a Rush fan, you see, and you went yes, and then we started chatting, and you said yes, I'm Drew Manton off of Rec Model Scale, and I said, oh, hello, Drew, I'm so and so, and it was such a memorable first meeting. You blotted it out for the next 2 years until 1998.
Well, I would have, because I wasn't even on RMS till 1998. So, sorry, AMR until 1998. Because I didn't even have a computer on. Actually, I didn't have a computer connected to the internet till the end of 1997.
Okay, the first time we actually met was actually 10 years prior to that at the Birmingham NEC on the weekend of the 21st of April. Albeit, when I say we met, we hadn't, but we were in the same building together. And then you appeared on my show of hands video cassette as the smiley little teenager nodding his head halfway through the opening bars of Manhattan Project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Memories.
You know, before the end of the show, I'm going to dig out that video kit and play it, don't you?
It's fine. That's
In
fine.
fact, if you entertain the people with an interesting story,
Oh,
I
he's
you-
off to
no, I'll
find
do
it.
another
He's off
time.
to find it. No,
Good show that, wasn't it? Though.
it just shows how memories vary, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's
It
funny
just shows
because I had this
I can
conversation.
absolutely, I will absolutely, you know, I will insist that the first time we actually spoke and you went, "Oh, hello," was at the Bath Model Show.
I was not that camp. I think. Oh, hello.
Well, you were. But that's another argument.
Kenneth
But
Williams
that
from
was
round the
because
horn.
you were sat up on the top table, up on the stage, because you were there with Trevor.
Oh yes, yeah, the chairman Trev. Yeah,
Yeah. And when I came up and introduced myself,
you did. Yeah. Well, that's oh God. You're right though about memory playing tricks, because I have this. There are two things that literally happened in the last 2 years. One was I was in Minehead and I'd gone into a shop and there was a bit of a kerfuffle in there. And I'm convinced at the time that when we came out of the shop, not me and you, but when I came out of the shop, it was already dark outside. I know it wasn't dark because it didn't get dark until by the time I actually got back to Bishop's Lydia train station on the steam train, you see. But in my mind's eye, it's dark when I step outside the shop.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I went to Bath a couple of years ago to go to the Christmas market. And I pulled up at the railway station, forgot to get a parking ticket. I came back to a parking ticket, I can tell you. And in my mind's eye, when I pulled up at the train station at 12 o'clock, kind of midday on the Saturday afternoon in December, it was pitch dark. Of course it wasn't pitch dark. But in my mind's eye it is. And it's like memory. Yeah, it's as Rob says, welcome to the Last of the Summer Wine HTV West Edition. It's well, Steve Moore says, I probably met Jem at a model show in Wokingham Town Hall. We just didn't know it. Bizarrely, I did actually find out that that I probably bumped into Dick Ward of Model Decor at the Wokingham Town Hall in the 1970s, because Dick was there with the Farnborough Club every year. And when I mentioned it to him, when I popped down to see him back in the late 90s, which is either before or after I bumped into Drew, I mentioned the Wokingham Model Show, and Dick went, "Oh yes, the Town Hall, yeah." So we always used to go there, and I was like,
"Yeah,
spot on." The
interesting. So we're getting abused now. We're getting abused, aren't we?
I think we've set ourselves up tonight with
getting randomly abused by foreigners.
I think that's a bit rough. I don't think we should speak about Mike like that. Jen said, "Jen, you sat next to me." Yes, he did. Yeah, sorry, we're just playing. Let's not get too self-indulgent. So yes, we have another fabulously eclectic mix of releases this week. We've got Mainstream, a helicopter, fine. We've got a little bit off kilter, an experimental supersonic aeroplane. We have Takom reissuing a fabulous 1/700 scale ship, but in a dry dock, and then 1/35 scale street furniture.
There you go.
What a fabulously diverse hobby we're in at the moment.
I'm sure. See what Johan says there. I would say, Johan, the first thing I learned as a police officer was that the worst witnesses to a crime ever are people. Terrible witnesses. So,
are we done?
Yes. Yeah.
We done. Right. Right. So we've got about 5 minutes to go. Shall I? I'll a quick run through and say hello to everybody who's watching tonight. Well, there we go. So we'll say hello to Pavel. We'll say hello to Paul Milligan, Ian Rusco, Stuart Bremner, Matthew Walker, Douglas Hunter, Lee Souter, Mike Williams, Vincent Blackburn, Ophir Cohen, Stan Codling, Anthony Bird, Tim Cavalier, Darren McGuinness, Stuart Bremner, Dave Mummery, Dougal McWoogle, Dave Cadd, Ian Goldstraw, Stephen Pryor, Greg Woodbridge, David Mummery, Jim Altegott, Brian Wilton, Kat Ludwell, who apparently apparently lives near me, which is rather scary. Johan Olivier, Julian Dallimore, scrolls down. Anthony Bird, probably said Anthony twice now. John Patrick Huston, Dave Fleming. Hello, Dave. Glad to see you here tonight. Ian Rusco, Rob Monfils, Steve Moores, scrolls down, Jen Wright, scrolls down, Tim Maunder, scrolls down, Mike Reeves, scrolls down, Nick Brown. Nick Brown, actually, there's a good point. He says the DH-108 suffered from severe oscillations, which caused the pilot to hit their head on the canopy. Winkle Brown survived because it was too short to hit his head. The greatest pilot who ever lived, Eric Winkle Brown. Scrolls down. Matthew Walker, hello Matthew. Scrolls down. Goodness me, it's like the closing credits to a Paul Cave. Hello Paul. He says, never mind. There's a multitude of decent older stuff for newbies like me to catch it. There is, and I will yet again point out to the fact that in the last year there has been so much love being shown to that old Tamiya Panzer II, which is celebrating its 50th birthday this year,
and
still selling, but people are still building it and still enjoying it. I think that's just a remarkable testament to a true classic kit there. Scrolls down. I think we've pretty much covered.
We covered
everybody's poked their head up at the parapet tonight and said good evening. So thank you for joining us on tonight's Sunday service. I do hope the things we've covered tonight have inspired you to go out and buy some street furniture, essentially. So,
yeah.
So,
yes.
Any other business?
No, not from me. I won't be available Wednesday because I'm on late shift. So,
okay. Wednesday, we might do a pop-up live rather than a regular one. I'm just trying to think. Wednesdays, something's happening anyway. And there you go. Jim says currently building.
There you go.
There we go. Fabulous. Right. Well, we are working on the festival menu at the moment. So I'm hoping to clarify some things this week in terms of hopefully we're doing the Saturday afternoon at a secret venue. So we're working on it. Also, any other business? Also, I did go to the cinema last week. I went to see the new Bond film.
And how was it? I know Mr. Monfils was not impressed.
No, I thought it was fabulous. I think after the crushing disappointment of Spectre, which I just misfired in all directions, this is a return to form. Not perfect, but at least Daniel Craig ends on a better film than Spectre. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. You have to bear in mind that I have been a James Bond fan since ITV broadcast Dr. No back in October 1975. And
were you suitably entertained?
I did not notice the near 3-hour running time.
Well, there you go. That's all you need to know, really, isn't it? It doesn't matter how people review films or criticize it. If you come out saying, "I really enjoyed that," that's enough.
Yeah, I would say people go and see it, make your own mind up. There are some interesting things that go on in it. There's a few duff notes. There's some not quite good casting, but other than that, but sufficiently, it just rattled along, and I came out and I thought, I actually wouldn't mind going back to cinema and seeing that again. My Spectre Blu-ray, I've never opened. You think, well, why did you buy it if you're not going to watch it? Well, completist.
Because you're a completist. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I still say still say Skyfall. I'm not jumping on the Skyfall bandwagon rather. It's just so much about that film was so deeply satisfying. I do still think that probably is my favorite Bond film.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know you're not that keen on them, are you?
I feel like we grew out of them. I just kind of did enjoy
grew out of them.
Basically. Did I go and see Skyfall with you?
No, you didn't. No.
Did I not? I don't remember. I went with somebody. I thought it was you that you went to see it a second time with me.
No, the only films I've ever been to the cinema with you to see were Interstellar.
Yeah, we'll leave the nationals out.
Interstellar. I've never seen, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, we went to see Interstellar at Telford in 2014 when we were at Scale Model World, and I've never seen somebody come out of a cinema looking so angry in my life. It was just like...
Just almost as angry as when I came out of Prometheus.
Yeah. Then the year later, we came out from seeing The Martian, and we were all happy again, weren't we?
Yeah, that was a
We
great
were
film.
all very happy.
I've watched that about 4 times since.
I love that film.
In fact, I could go downstairs straight after this and put it on quite happily and watch the whole thing.
And then the year later, we all came out of the cinema from seeing Arrival and all had to go somewhere because we had things in our eye. And that is, honestly, Arrival, brilliant film. I mean, I still, it just still kind of like, it is a film that kind of really kind of like reaches in and pulls
We've
your
had
guts
kind
out.
of a 50% hit rate with the stuff at the Nationals, haven't we? Because Death of Stalin was absolutely sublime.
I missed that one out.
Death of Stalin was sublime.
Well, that's not a 50% rate. We've only had one duff one. That was Interstellar. The Martian, Arrival, You for Death of Stalin.
So. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was for some reason, and I know that we didn't. For some reason, I always think of Prometheus with that, but clearly not.
No, Prometheus was 2012.
Yeah.
I've only ever watched that on television, and I still feel cheated that I watched it on television.
Yeah, you cheated out in a couple of hours.
An Alien Covenant really isn't that much better.
Well, I think it's actually worse, but
I think as and when we finally do get together, I think this is where you and I depart, because I'd say Aliens, you'd say Alien 3.
Yeah.
We'll watch Alien then.
I think Alien 3, because it's Alien. It's the same thing. It's one xenomorph and a bunch of trapped people. It's great. Absolutely.
No, not a bunch of trapped people. A bunch of Britain's finest Shakespearean thespians.
Well, yeah, yes.
Once
Mr.
more
Glover.
unto the breach.
And Brian Glover.
And Brian Glover, yes. Dearie me, we should do a film special. I know I did one with Spencer. We should do the Interesting Modelling Company film special and just get it out of our system. Anyway, look, on that note, thank you for coming along tonight, people, to watch this inherent nonsense. We might be back Wednesday with a pop-up live. We might not be. I don't entirely know. But most certainly we'll be back next Sunday when there will be an avalanche of new releases or nothing at all.
No halfway houses. No halfway houses.
Yeah, it's
all on
and I really need to get a wiggle on this week, because I've got if you saw the pop-up live during the week, I was painting the Panzer IV with the Tamiya XF93, which is beautiful. Honestly, if only there was some kind of tactile thing you could do with these programs, because that paint, I mixed it 50-50 with the lacquer thinner. That paint is absolutely, it's beautiful.
Silk.
It's silk. It's fabulous.
Cool.
It's almost a shame to actually start doing anything more to it, because the finish I've got on it is so lovely. It's just like, isn't that nice? Let's get on with actually finishing the model. So I'm going to get on with a bit more of that. And what I might actually do is I might actually do a pop-up live during the week, if only so that I'm actually compelled to sit down and actually get on with some things. So anyway, on that note, as always, thank you to Drew for turning up tonight. That's very kind of you. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. It just remains to say, as always, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we will see you very, very soon. So
see you soon. Take care, all. Good night.